What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because John makes the same thing happen over and over again. In the book of Revelation, they tell you they were given control over 1/4 of the earth to kill with war, famine, disease, and wild animals. It also says a loaf of bread for $20 or 3 pounds of barley or flour, but there's no olive oil or wine. In the reading in Amos 4, when Israel fell into captivity, Jah punished us through hunger, and he destroyed our vineyard, no wine, and our olive trees, no olive oil. In the reading of Obadiah, Adonai's vengeance will soon fall upon the Gentile nations. As you have done to Israel, so it will be done to you. Your acts will boomerang upon your heads. So everything that was done to Israel is going to be done to nations of the world. So you notice the similarities, how wine and olive oil was taken in the reading in Amos, and also in the book of Revelation, it happens again. Also in the reading of Joel 3, beware, for I will strike back swiftly and return the harm to your own heads. What they did was they gave the world Christendom. Revelation 6, O sovereign Adonai, holy and true, how long before you will judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? Then they were each given a white robe and told to rest a little longer until the number of the fellow servants and their brothers should be complete, who were to be killed as they themselves have been. Revelation 6. Revelation 20 happens again. You see, beheaded for the testimony of Joshua. They gave us a statue to worship. And when you think of America, you think of the Statue of Liberty. That's actually Lucifer, and those are the rays of sun above his head. And he carries a torch because he's illuminating the world. And we actually celebrate it on July 4th, so-called Independence Day, when we're still a colony in London. Statue of Liberty, ISIS. So we won't be able to buy or sell without the mark, the hand and on the forehead. The new mark would be AI when it gets done all over again. So one is your money system, and the other one is your worship. You cannot work unless you have a social security and a birth certificate. And our birth certificates go to the Vatican. And our bank accounts all go to the Bank of London. He will gain control of the treasures of gold and silver and all the riches of Egypt. Vatican owns all world currency. And let's not forget who the bankers of the Vatican are. So again, the mark of the beast on the hand is your work. In the forehead is your worship. The synagogue of Satan, the Vatican. Abrahamic religions, all three working together. According to Albert Pike, all three of these religions will turn on each other. These three all work together. Christendom has nothing to do with the Torah. They replaced our feast days with the holidays. For Christmas is for Saturnalia. Easter is for Esther, the fertility goddess. And even the Sabbath day has been replaced for Sunday to give worship to the sun god. So Christendom has nothing to do with our Torah. Christianity, created by the Vatican, and Islam, also, by the way. They have a form of godliness, but denying its power. Scripture says that you will know them by their fruit. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Kill the Indian, save the man. That includes the Tainos, by the way. Let me remind you that these boarding schools that they took our children to were run by Catholics and Christians. Native American boarding school system view Christianity as a critical aspect of Native students' successful assimilation. So children were forced out of our homes. They were taken to these boarding schools to so-called save them, save their souls. So many of our children molested, raped, and murdered. They're still finding bodies today in America and in Canada. Again, let me remind you, these were Christian and Catholic-run boarding schools. Scripture says that he will set the times and the laws. The Creator gave us a 13-month calendar. Voices of the Dust is the presentations of all the relics they found in Michigan. Hebrew relics, by the way. In them, they also found a 13-month calendar, the one that the Creator gave to us. Like they said, he would change it. They gave us the Gregorian calendar in its place. I am Adonai your Yah, follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. Keep my Sabbath holy, that there may be a sign between us. Then you will know that I am your Adonai, your Yah. The mark of the Pope authority. Sundays are a mark of authority, the Roman Catholic Church. It's above the Bible. And this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. I'm pretty sure that your Christians today are still sitting in Sunday services in your Christian churches today. If you love me, you will obey my commandments. If someone claims that I know Jah, but doesn't obey Jah's commandments, that person's a liar and is not living in the truth. They changed the commandments. The truth is not in them. They also had the commandment removed or no graven images. And they gave us an image to worship, right? The Greco-Roman Isus. And the cross of Saturn, the cross of Scientology, and also the cross of Aleister Crowley. For Joshua was hung on a tree. So when Israel fell into captivity, we were put into a sleep. For Adonai has brought over your deep sleep. He has sealed your eyes to prophets. He has covered your heads to seers. The sheep are asleep. St. Peter's altar, a sleeping sheep. And in the reading of Zechariah, the northern kingdom was sold to the bad shepherd, their shepherd's staff. The time is coming when everything that's covered up will be revealed, and all that is secret will be known to all. In the last day, Jah says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. This is when his spirit falls back down on his children, the ones that were sleeping, what they call the Great Awakening. So the house of Judah was the last one to fall, the last kingdom to fall. They came into our shores in 1619, plus 400, that's 2019. And that's when I started hearing from the Spirit. Notice how when you have perfect vision, it's called 2020. Do not pollute the land where you are. Bloodshed pollutes the land. And atonement cannot be made for that land on which the blood has been shed, except for the blood of the ones who shed it. Woe to him who builds a city with bloodshed and establishes a town by injustice. Surely I have spoken in my hot jealousy against the rest of the nations and against all Edom, who gave my lands to themselves as a possession with wholehearted joy and alter contempt, that they might make its pasture land a prey. And I forgot to mention, the Pope claimed authority over all souls in 1302. The Papal Bull, he divided the world between Portugal and Spain to colonize it. In fact, when they went to our islands, one of our caciques opted to be burned alive, then instead of going to the heaven that the Christians were going to. He refused to accept their God. These are the Taínos. They also took our lands for themselves. That's why there's so many Hebrew artifacts in all our lands. In Puerto Rico, that's where I'm from. And they found over 800 Hebrew stones that were authenticated in 2019. And this plaque, Free Blacks of Israel Hill, these Israelites, because they know that these are the true Israelites. And Adonai should bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and we should be sold to our enemies and become bondservants and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you. Both Judah and the northern kingdom were sent in ships. During the Columbus exchange, our people also went overseas in ships. And in the reading Isaiah 60, he's bringing us back in ships. You can either pause to read it or look it up in your scriptures. And that would be the second Exodus. No rapture, second Exodus. In that day, Adonai will extend his hand and yet a second time to recover the remnants that remain of his people. And they should fall by the edge of the sword and should be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem should be trodden down by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And that time is now. The sword is coming to America. Alas, that day is so great that there's none like it. It is the time of distress for Jacob. Yeah, you should be saved out of it. Because it's going to be returned to the nations of the world. But we're going to be taken to Mount Zion. It tells right here in Revelations 3:9, I will force those supporting the causes of Satan by claiming to be mine, but they aren't. They are lying. To fall at your feet and acknowledge that you are the ones I love. Because you patiently obey me despite the persecution. Therefore, I will protect you from the time of great tribulation and temptation, which will come upon the world to test everyone alive. So we will be pulled out of it. Khazars, identity thieves. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So what was done to Israel is going to be returned to the nations of the world. Why do you think that during the Commonwealth Games, the announcer called it the Tower of Babel? Psalms 83, all the nations that came together to destroy Israel. All nations coming together with Gog and Magog against America. And they're here already because China is part of Magog. So there's a video going around. Israeli leader says young black generation a major problem. Jacob's prophecies in Genesis 49. You will see why they go after Judah so hard. Judah, thou art he whom thy brothers shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Who are the descendants of Esau today? The Romans, and to a larger extent, all Europeans. In other words, Edom. For they broke their treaty with their brother Israel. They attacked and conquered him, and led him into slavery to Edom. Adonai says Edom has sinned again and again, and I will not forget it. For I will not leave him unpunished any more. For he chased his brother Israel with a sword. He was pitiless, unrelenting anger. So I will set the fire to Tina. And I covered Tima before. Those are Germanic people, Germans. And the Queen of England is actually German. Edom, the people I have doomed. For what Edom has done to Israel, the streams of Edom will be filled with burning pitch, and the grounds will be covered with fire. The judgment of Edom will never end. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes. Edomia, Edom, their dukes. Or who we also call dukes? Portugal, Spain, United Kingdom, Sweden. And I explained earlier how the Pope divided the world between Spain and Portugal to have it colonized. The dukes of Edom. Have you not noticed the nations that are behind the Great Reset? They are European. Edom. And remember how I said how everything's going to be returned to the nations, what was done to us gets returned to the nations of the world? One of those things was disease. During the Trail of Tears, it was bad enough that we were being kicked off our lands. They gave us blankets infested with smallpox. You notice how the pestilence started in 2019? They are given permission to kill by war, famine, disease, and wild animals. And war is at our door. Another thing, remember, history is written by the victor. And this also applies to religion. The best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves.
Connection between Thanksgiving and the apocalypse. This information right here, people, is not for the faint of heart. This information right here, people, is only for those with a certain color of consciousness. If you think by color I mean race, then you don't have that color of consciousness. And I can guarantee that they're not giving you information like this anywhere else on TikTok about Thanksgiving. So make sure you share it out so people can get this information. There was a place in East Asia that you call Europe today. Here is the place where the white horseman of Revelation begun. This horseman of Revelation manifested right in Rome through the Roman Empire and a man named Constantine. It's deeper than that, and I got videos on that if you want them. But Constantine would co-opt the spiritual philosophy of a man named Yeshua. And then the Roman Empire will proclaim themselves as the first church, knowing that Yeshua said the temple of God is within. They then go even further to change the man's name. That's why you call him Jesus. And to change the man's image. That's why when you think of Christ, you don't think of a Middle Eastern brown man. And they use this new image to conquer the world. Constantine said that I had a vision, and it was a cross. And with this symbol, I shall conquer the world. And through this vision, which was true, the elites of the West, the elites of the Catholic Church, they would conquer the world. They would come in the name of Christ, but have the actions of the opposer, of the enemy, who you call Satan. If you want a deeper video on the Antichrist, go ahead and check out my playlist. They eventually decide what books you should read. They decide what letters you should read. They recreate the library of God, which was called the Biblos, which means the collection of books. And they take out books from that library and create a larger book that you call today the Bible. And they use this new tool to conquer the world. This happens over hundreds of years, by the way. Eventually, the Pope, who is truly a Roman emperor, decides to enslave anyone who is not under the rule, aka Christians. Anyone who doesn't consider themselves Christian It's okay to enslave and rule according to them. Seek to conquer the world and create the new world. Now remember, to create a new world, the old world must end. And they genocide Native Americans, wiping out 90% to 95% of the population. They wiped out around 30% of the human population, starting the world apocalypse that humanity has forgotten. If you didn't know, the word Thanksgiving is in the Bible 40 times. The original feast was between a people who have already been decimated by the white horsemen, that's the Native Americans, and a group of Europeans who were attempting to separate themselves from the power of the white horsemen, the Roman Catholic Empire. Those were the pilgrims. The feast represented this new world and this agreement and peace. But what you must understand is that the influence, the spirit of the West, the Antichrist, the white horseman, the Roman Catholic Church is deeply embedded into the West and in the culture and traditions of the European settlers, the pilgrims. So what do? They eventually come to betray those same peoples, taking more of their land, inviting more of their people to take more of their land, going to war with them, completely betraying their trust. Besides, the damage was already done. The apocalypse had already started. The seal had already been broken. 90 to 95% of the Native Americans were decimated, and the earth retaliated by sending an ice age in the same direction that the Eastern Asians, the Europeans, came from. And there was a great ice age called the Little Ice Age in Asia. They don't teach you about that, fam. And this ice age caused a great famine. But that great famine was only a small sample of what was to come. And this was the beginning of the great apocalypse humanity forgot. So go ahead and celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm not telling you not to. Always take the opportunity to come with family, to be thankful for what you got, to eat. All that's fine. That's a part of humanity. But never forget the interconnectedness of the end of the world and Thanksgiving. And if you still don't understand what I'm talking about, there's playlists that explains what I'm talking about on my profile, and there's a book. There's a book that talks about all this, that goes in great detail, explains what I can't in these short videos. This book will also free you from mortgages, rent, the matrix, the rat race. It teaches through stories, and the book is called FAMS, Food, Forest, Foraging, Hunting, Anti-Fragile Modern Society. The information is given to you through 3 stories, and it teaches you how to break free from mortgages, rent, this matrix you live in, how to live free, how humans are supposed to be living. It is groundbreaking, world-changing, and it is going to change the world. It's free. The audio version is free, and it's in the link at the top of the page. Get it now. I love you all. Peace.